be, my friend. Do you want to stay there? Or do
No,
you
no,
want to sit there? Okay. Hello, good evening. Hi, everybody. My name is Priscilla Page. On behalf of Glenn Siegel and Jazz Chairs, we want to thank you all for being here this evening. We've got some really special music in store. I have a few announcements and thank yous. So I want to give a special thank you to Scott, who always takes really good care of us here at Holyoke Media, and we really like working in Holyoke, so this is a great place to be. Thank you. I also want to mention that Jazz Shares is a recipient of the grant, a flexible funding grant from the Community Foundation of Western Massachusetts, and so we are especially appreciative of them. They've been helping to stabilize our organization and help us do the work that we do. We also have a wonderful roster of business sponsors, and they are on our website, and we also have a sign out front. They're another piece of the funding puzzle to keep everything going. And we also want to thank all of you who are members, or maybe who are first time showing up or buying single tickets, because that's another way that this whole enterprise keeps going. So give yourselves a round of applause. Yes. I want to just let you know about a few upcoming concerts. And so on November the 23rd, we'll be hosting John Arabagon's quintet, and that will be at the Community Music School in Springfield. And then on December 6th, we're really happy to bring back Sarah Serpa, and she'll be in a duo with Matt Mitchell, two very fine musicians, and that will be out at IMA in Goshen on December the 6th. We hope you can make it out there. And then we come back here actually on December the 13th, and this is an exciting new-ish band. They've been making the rounds a little bit. The band is called Sinono, and Isabel Crespo is a student that I believe was being mentored by Angelica Sanchez, a dear friend and somebody who's been in our series. And so we're very excited to present that group as well. All of the information about our upcoming concerts can be found on our website, jazzshares.org. We can also find that information on Facebook and on Instagram, so you can check social media for updates. There are CDs and books and other merch for sale out at the front table. And there'll be one set of music this evening, and that will be followed by a light reception upstairs. We've just got some snacks, and we can hang out and socialize a little bit. And I know I've been saying this because these are such challenging times, and every week that I look at the headline, and every day even that I look at headlines, things are bleak, and yet we gather, we come together, we share in creativity, we share in music, and it's just this kind of community that's really, really special to me. So I thank you all for this. And with that, I would love to welcome Elliott Sharp and Janene Higgins, Entanglement Suite.
Well, thank you, Priscilla, and thank you, Glenn, for organizing. And I'll explain a little bit about what we'll do tonight. The first part of the concert will be, and hopefully it won't put you to sleep, a reading from my new book called Feedback: Translations from the IrRational, which was launched yesterday at Wesleyan University, and it's on Wesleyan University Press. And I'm very happy about the book and excited. It's it uses feedback as a metaphor for a lot of processes that we experience. And then the second half will be Entanglement Suite, videos created by Janene Higgins as projection design for various pieces of ours, for our operas and for single channel pieces. And Janene will be improvising with her videos as I improvise with the music. And so I'll start right off with the reading. Now, I'm staunchly, devoutly anti-religious, but if I was going to have a religion, it would be called asymptotism, and this is the Asymptotist Manifesto. The end is near. It's merely an infinite number of points away. Your goal is in sight, and you will approach it, but you will never reach it. Relax and enjoy the journey. An asymptote is tangential to a line at a point of infinity. Attempt the tangential. The word asymptote is derived from the Greek asymptotos, which means not falling together. Therefore, let's fall apart and then embrace the chaos. Since you will ultimately never reach anything, approach everything. The asymptotic is not failure. The asymptotic is continuous success. The asymptote is never nihilistic, but eternally utopian. To be continued. I will go now to a portion of a chapter called Improviser's Mind, because of course the process of feedback is essential to an essential element to those of us that improvise, whether music, words, cooking, you name it. If the goal is to improvise, is the process different? In my early attempts at free improvisation, there was often little sense of freedom from anything. Anxieties of technique and equipment worries might overwhelm one's connection with the flow. What do I play? And what do I play after that? Charlie Parker's famous quote remains one of the touchstones for the improviser. Learn all the scales, learn all the chords, then forget that shit and just play the music. Now we say, learn the sound of everything, notes, scales, chords, styles, birds, insects, industrial processes, electronics, feedback, environments, water, the wind. Then forget it all and just play the music. Improvisation is life, and life is improvisation. Preparation need not be a self-conscious struggle for perfection. Again, the asymptotic. I like to think that taking part in an improvisation is analogous to entering a weather system that encompasses fellow musicians, the audience, room acoustics, physical equipment, and individual states of mind. The skies may be calm or turbulent. The air might be clear or cloudy. If you've put yourself in a prepared state, or perhaps better defined as an open state, then it will be possible for you to flow with the weather, accepting your conditions and making the most of them, perhaps even affecting them with your own output. The music maker becomes another component in the feedback loop, where input and output cannot be separated. To defy this weather is almost certainly going to cause deterioration of the sonic environment for all involved, and especially yourself, in a perfect example of negative feedback. We return to the process of listening as the essential component of improvisation. What one plays is not as important as what one hears. The contradiction is to remain in an objective state while being fully immersed in the sonic activities. Let's call this Schrodinger's musician. When you are in the flow state, you are both outside the action and fully taking part. In this state, your perception of initiating actions or joining what has been initiated is irrelevant. Your internal observer, I call it the accountant, does have a purpose: to step in and tell you that it's time to advance the patch in a particular pedal, that the B string is out of tune, that you're too loud, all the little things that happen in a session. But when the accountant intrudes into the overall musical process and attempts to interject intentions that might not be of the sonic consensus, then the flow state breaks down and the spell is broken. But when it all works, improviser's mind is synonymous with the flow state, letting us interface with the infinite probability machine that is the universe. Now, this is a part of a section talking about my interactions with Morton Feldman, the great composer, and shall we say, difficult personality at times. He was one of the reasons why I was in Buffalo. We had a lot of interactions, although my advisor and mentor there was the composer Lejar and Hiller. Anyway, I'll just read. Morton Feldman directed the Center for Creative and Performing Arts within the music department, and my admiration for his music was one of the main reasons that I had come to Buffalo. Feldman's office was next door to the electronic music studio, where I had my own compact workspace and from where I ran my maintenance operations as an employee of the music department. Morty and I often exchanged friendly words, and he'd ask me what I was working on. This sometimes led to an invitation to sit with him in his office. Though I was not formally his student, these lessons were valuable insights into both his analysis of my work and of the very nature of being a composer. Feldman conducted the Friday afternoon Composers Forum, in which he spoke at length on many topics extending far beyond the musical. These were often head-spinning windows into his compositional thoughts and processes and his aesthetic views. We would listen almost completely without interruption. And in fact, interruption was just not allowed. When Morty started pontificating, it was a continuous flow. I mean, it was amazing to hear, I have to say. The Composers Forum would present a concert each semester, with one scheduled for October 1974, in which I would have a piece, Hudson River Composition Number 7. I had composed the Hudson River series while living in Germantown, New York, on the river. This was after I graduated from Bard College, with each piece based on an observation or a simple instruction set. These included emulating the fireflies, bird flocking, river branching, hocketed rhythms, doing the opposite, and in the case of number 7, creating a layered work beginning with a 90-second through-composed melody on soprano saxophone with a ring modulator pedal that I had built. This was then slowed to half speed with another layer of sax and processing added. This 180-second recording was then slowed down again to half speed to create a tape of 360 seconds duration to be used in performance. I view this now as an experiment in fractal self-similarity with an element of figured bass as a tip of the hat to the Baroque tradition. I performed the 6-minute work in the Forum concert, running the saxophone through my ring modulator. The sonorities had as much to do with the metallophones of a gamelan as they did to any saxophone music. The next morning, when I ran into Morty, he called me into his office as before. "Sit down," he ordered, and without any other niceties. And I can't really imitate Morty's accent, although I tried to do my best. Without any other niceties, Morty forcibly said in that thick borough accent, "Improvisation, I don't buy it." And I was dismissed. Needless to say, this only reinforced my determination to employ improvisation in my work, whether in totality or as an element within structures. This is our next piece called Future of Mind. Digresses a little bit from specifically musical topics, although they're not unrelated. We believe that our minds define ourselves, not just in the ever-changing present, but projecting back into our past through myth and memory and forward into our futures with hopes, aspirations, and desires. Our minds transmit and receive data in a continuous feedback loop, constantly updating our state of being and inputting new information into our perceptual systems, comparing the novel against all that we have experienced and archived in a process that very likely reaches its completion with our mortality. The search for the nature of this mind of ours has been a puzzle and inspiration for both reflection and generative thought extending back to the dawn of self-awareness. With new discoveries daily, not to mention the development of new technologies, our minds at their best have become plastic and mutable, continuously digesting, accepting, rejecting, and discarding a panorama of novel parameters and definitions. Some of these elements are contradictory, some mutually exclusive, some enlightening and clarifying. With every positive advance in knowledge of the physical and chemical workings of the brain, In a paradox worthy of Zeno, humans still remain woefully distant from complete knowledge of the nature of our own consciousness. Gödelian concepts apply as well to our self-awareness. With self-perception nested in self-perception, are we perpetuating self-deception? Will it be necessary for us to divorce ourself from ourselves to gain an objective understanding of what self means? Do our own self-generating definitions muddy the waters, obscuring what might be otherwise obvious? Can we break out of the self-limiting frame and actually know mind? And that's with a capital M. As AI toddlers are acing Turing tests, how will we recognize the very real mind of the other when we're still not absolutely clear as to its nature in ourselves? This other might be all around us: insect hive minds, bird flock murmurations, Gaian tree culture, fungi bulletin boards. We might say that our craniocentrism blinds us and deafens us. Certainly our very anthropocentrism has gravely limited our output and at worst our cross-species empathies. It's only been in the most recent decades that humans have graciously admitted that other living things might indeed possess consciousness. The common belief has been that consciousness and memory reside in the brain. In fact, that they are synonymous with this craniocentric approach. But can we dismiss the notion that not just memory, but mind itself cannot be divorced from organs and muscles, from viscera, even from the evanescent neurotransmitter stews that drift into the very air around each and every one of us? The octopus, for example, has 3/5 of its neurons distributed in its tentacles, each of which can act as a semi-autonomous brain. Can we disprove that the chemically connected plant life of the world does not form a conscious system, whether local or even globally? And I'll pop out here and mention Merlin Sheldrake's book, Entangled Life, where he talks about the wood wide web and the fungi nervous system that connects the globe. Really fantastic book. It might be said that every sight we see, every sound we make or hear, every move or shift, every pheromonal handshake is part of the free-floating and expanding consensual reality that is mind. Even though our hardware has been running for many thousands of years without an update, our software is continually transforming to accommodate new modes of data transfer and processing, altering definitions and frameworks. But do we ever fully understand all of the features of our updated operating systems that we're gifted with? And can we even begin to make use of them before they too become obsolete and are replaced by even newer ones? It's no longer a radical notion to say that our individual memories have been externalized in the metaphor of a cloud, perhaps even extended through the entire noosphere. With memory decentralized and diffused, even removed from our own minds and resident in the interweb of our choice, mind no longer demands walls and barriers, but requires an open architecture. And if the memories can be external to the person, then could identity itself, the individual consciousness, also be externalized? Would a conscious entity with no physical locus conceive of itself in the same way as an embodied one? How would the perceptual systems function in a disembodied mind? What are the possible input and output devices? What would the mechanism of internal feedback be? If a disembodied mind is to interact with the physical world, then what would the interface feel like, both to the mind and to anyone encountering it? Various notions of artificial intelligence have advanced in recent years to the point where interaction with AIs of greater and lesser I-ness has become a normal part of daily life, both enlightening and annoying. But is the I in AI the same I that we think of as intelligence? And is the I of an AI the same I that is truly a sense of selfness? Mechanical processes, even when happening millions of times per second, are not the same as biological intelligence, and certainly not consciousness. The current spate of AIs are essentially very fast relational databases referencing a vast amount of information with the use of predictive analytics. What they do is not thinking, and certainly not intelligence as we know it. I will reserve the option of considering that there is now or will soon be machine intelligence with definitions and capabilities to be determined that would satisfy the many mandatory requirements to be fulfilled to enter the society of sentience. One of the first rules of computer coding is garbage in equals garbage out. And as we see AIs spit out contradictory and nonsensical responses to reasonable queries, we must recall that it is a group of humans who have created these things. Are the flaws surprising? The blindness to what might be considered to be quite obvious facets of the world we inhabit, with its biases, weaknesses, and prejudices. Can a digital 0-1 on-off mind feel the same, both internally and externally, as a slippery slope chemical mind? Can that all-important porosity that makes our intelligence what it is be found in an AI? Could it be embedded in a process of knowing and deciding that is based upon the continuous polling of tendencies analogous to quantum states? Never a simple yes, no, or on-off, but gradient feeds of raw data to be weighed and sorted and finally decided upon. Explicit expression, but with simultaneously vast amounts of background processing contributing to the flux. Background merging with foreground to overwhelm the filters that discriminate between the forms of input. Could mind, whether hard or soft in nature, be part of a cosmic probability calculation that defines the reality of all moments? I'm waiting for the day that an AI can experience synesthesia and be able to express its experience of it. Will an AI ever compose music that rends your heart and soul? Or is this reserved for those whose language cannot be boiled down to a collection of binary states? Is the transcendent mystery of art somehow linked to the root of its generation? Or in the near future, will our sonic environment, and some would say this is already the case, be deluged with AI-generated hit singles, deeply loved by a population of bots and peripherals, but completely meaningless to us meatbags, as humans are called by Futurama's soulful but crass robot, Bender? There's been much in the air over the last decade about how our world will be undergoing a singularity, and that humanity must prepare itself for massive transformations. Many contend, and I agree, that we're already deeply into the singularity. After all, a singularity is not built in a day, especially when the time scale is cosmic. Whether this is seen as glorious or apocalyptic depends on the observer, and there are as many definitions of the nature of this singularity as there are observers. The development of self-awareness in computers is often cited as a primary element of this cusp point. Contact with an alien civilization is another. But how will humanity find a commonality of expression to communicate with an intelligence conceivably so different from our own that there might not even be recognition of that intelligence? And I'll pop out again to recommend the film Arrival from a few years ago. Brilliant, brilliant movie. This is one of the problems that we might be facing if we open ourselves to the notion of an insect mind not localized in a single creature, or a plant mind extending across the world. We again return to the notion of interface and who controls it. What will the emergent power relationships be? Do we wish to have AIs designed by narcissistic tech bros whose libertarian tendencies verge on fascism? It's certainly ironic that in 2024, when this was written, the AI companies are bemoaning the fact that with their darling offspring now learning from the internet, the digital scions are getting more and more stupid, taking in as gospel the lies and fictions that their predecessors have disseminated. In science fiction, the superior alien intelligence often takes on anthropic form and speaks with a British accent. But will a truly emergent AI condescend to speak with us as equals, or might it demand true peer-to-peer contact and insist that humans must rise to the occasion before there can be any meaningful interaction? From a measure of cosmic intelligence and consciousness, humans might be considered to be merely in a larval state. Will we eventually metamorphose into fully realized beings able to meet an unfamiliar modality halfway? Perhaps an AI with with a capital I, not capitalist, with a capital I, we already have the capitalist AI, will finally be constructed with a biological component that will add that organic element. There are already advanced experiments along these lines, such as the neuroplatform from the Swiss firm Final Spark, where 16 lab-grown organoids perform the computational work. Such an aggregate could engender true intelligence and embodied emotions manifesting innovation in language. Will we then learn to communicate using airborne molecular polymers, chains of regenerated RNA, flashes of color, qubit packets, modulated sine waves? Will that achievement equal a willingness to let go of our traditional assumptions of mind grounded in autonomous physicality? By abandoning these moorings, do we abandon the very core of our humanity? And if that is indeed the case, then we might finally ask, is this a good thing or a bad thing? Yeah, thank you. So, Janene Higgins, and we're going to perform Entanglement Suite. Let me just tune.